it's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. So it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than game time decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drifts. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
A new week begins right here, right now, live on a Monday morning on the early line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. That includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination to consume everything all across the grid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. We are here together for the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern Time. A Monday morning, under a week away now officially from Selection Sunday, and what a weekend it was in college basketball. The regular season finale weekend at the high major level, and we have our first tickets punched to the NCAA tournament. 4 yesterday on the men's side, 1 more on Saturday evening, and a ton of action in women's college hoops to break down as well. Some action around the association. But DRS, the month of March is supposed to be dedicated to college basketball in the stretch run of the NBA campaign, except the NFL, as we get ready for the legal tampering window that starts today at noon Eastern Time, really kicking off free agency, will not be outdone. A ton of moves this weekend, including a frenzy on Sunday, as we kind of anticipated on Friday's show, to break down and recap for you here on this Monday morning.
If you are still unsigned in the NFL and looking for a contract extension, today is your day. Why? Because people were resetting the market yesterday, which means your contract is supposed to go higher. A flurry, as Ben said, of activity yesterday just on a Sunday night, setting the stage for the legal tampering period to be starting today. Can't wait to go over so many options that happen and rip so many football players, so many football teams. I'm here for it on a Monday. It's going to be great, but also understand this. Got a little bit of a bad breaks yesterday in college basketball. It still ended up profitable at the end of the day. If you are not tuning in to what's going on in college basketball, you are doing it wrong. You should have that pen and paper out ready to go, because this week the big boys come out to play.
The regular season is through at every single level in every single league around college basketball. This is now officially the postseason. Of course, we know that this is March. Legal tampering window, that negotiating period for free agency, where teams and players and the representation can agree on contracts and agree to terms. That starts today, noon Eastern time. Officially, year around the NFL begins on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. But DRS, as we anticipated and as we saw late last week, a ton of moves, contract extensions, and trades in principle that continued on a Sunday evening. DK Metcalf, after requesting a trade from Seattle, has a new home. He's a Pittsburgh Steeler. Metcalf headed to the Steelers and re-signs a new deal with Pittsburgh, a 5-year, $150 million extension at $30 million per year. In return, the Steelers give Seattle a second-round pick. We'll talk about Geno Smith in just a little bit, but the Seahawks undergoing a new era. They traded Smith to Las Vegas to start off the weekend on Friday night. But DK Metcalf, DRS, makes his way to the Steel City.
There are so many tentacles to this deal, and I love it from both sides. We'll get to it. People might say, if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, oh no, what are we doing here? No, you are doing exactly what you should be doing, the sign of a healthy franchise. Now flip it over to the Pittsburgh Steelers, getting DK Metcalf, a top-flight wide receiver to go with George Pickens. You now have the aerial assault you need to bolster that running game. You just need the quarterback. But understand the two franchises. Pittsburgh has a ton of talent, just need a quarterback, and understand this. If they get one, they will be good. Seattle Seahawks were never going to be good. Great move for Seattle. Great move for Pittsburgh. It works hand in hand.
The rebuild is on in the Northwest. Yeah. Year number 2 under Mike McDonald. Just need a quarterback. Makes it seem like that's the easiest thing to figure out for the Steelers. They've got
just not Justin Fields. He's not a quarterback. Just get me a quarterback in Pittsburgh. They will be in the playoffs next year.
Can I tempt you with Aaron Rodgers, perhaps, as we have some news this morning as free agency begins? Yes. I would take Justin Fields any day of the week over this decrepit version of Aaron Rodgers. Elsewhere around the National Football League, Davante Adams released by the New York Jets. He is signed because he was already released with the LA Rams on a 2-year, $46 million deal after a hectic start early this offseason. Matthew Stafford is in place, and Cooper Kupp's replacement, perhaps, is Davante Adams. 5 consecutive years still for Adams, DRS, with at least 1,000 receiving yards.
Love this move. Once again, a team that won a playoff game, that has a quarterback and has a young front seven that's looking to win a Super Bowl. Add on to your talent base. An absolute perfect fit, smart organization. And just to think, a week and a half ago, they were thinking about letting Matthew Stafford go. They are Super Bowl contenders, and I love this move, Ben.
Davante Adams still has a lot left in the tank. He is 32 years old, but still providing consistent wide receiver play, and of course has a really good quarterback to do so. Money talks. That's the old saying, right? Because you can say, I want to continue my Hall of Fame career looking for the ultimate prize in football, a Lombardi trophy. And that's what Myles Garrett said during Super Bowl week, only to say, wait, how much? $40 million a year with more than 123 guaranteed. Myles Garrett, now the highest non-quarterback paid player in NFL history. He's back in Cleveland. He'll stay in Cleveland. A no trade clause in the big contract as well.
I love this. I really do. Number one, Myles Garrett is worth his weight in gold. I understand that. Browns, correct me if I'm wrong, last year, Ben, with Myles Garrett, 3 wins. You just paid him like a quarterback to win what? 3 more games this year? I don't want to burn the candle at both ends right now, Ben. Right. I got to stay calm right now. But I am ready to light the fuse on this show today, so I'll calm down for a moment.
I know you will, and I am very excited. Yeah. It seems like a move that will have a fuse lit. Josh Allen, our reigning NFL MVP, now paid as such. Really, this year was just the 14th highest paid quarterback in the NFL, now tied for second behind Dak Prescott. $55 million per year, but really the big number, $250 million guaranteed. That the highest amount of guaranteed money in NFL history, signing that extension in Buffalo.
I get nervous about the guaranteed money, but you see the $55 million a year for an elite quarterback, top 2, top 3 in the NFL, that is the going rate. And maybe next year and the year after that, we're going to view this as a bargain. But all that guaranteed money, boy, if something goes wrong here, you can't just kick the can down the road and get away from that. That is a guarantee you must pay regardless. That football player is on the field.
But you would think at 28 years old, the extent of this 6-year deal, Josh Allen should be performing at a very high level throughout the entirety of it. Some tough news early in the spring for the New York Yankees. In the 2023 AL Cy Young winner, Garrett Cole, who was having his right elbow examined all of last week, may now need those very feared words for a pitcher, DRS, Tommy John surgery.
And can you hear for the Yankees fans now? 2026. That's the next time you will try to compete here. You spend a lot of money. Your best pitcher goes down. It's a wrap, Yankee fans. We didn't even start the season yet.
Still booked as the favorites in the AL at a plus 360 price, well in front of the Orioles. But Donnie might be shipping up to Boston with his AL pennant ticket in 2025. Let's get to some NBA news now quickly. The Oklahoma City Thunder in a showdown against the Denver Nuggets yesterday. Win by 24, 127-103 SGA. Third consecutive 40-point game.
Man, if you guys are watching the NBA, you're doing it all wrong this weekend, people. I'll leave it there.
Tickets punched yesterday to the men's NCAA tournament. Drake goes dancing for a third straight year. High Point into the big dance for the first time ever. Lipscomb back for the first time since 2018. And trash cans be damned. The Omaha Mavericks are going dancing for the first time as well.
I mean, I couldn't get a late layup or a three-point shot to go down for St. Thomas, but congratulations to them. It would have been really awkward if they won that league there. I love the fact that Omaha won that because that's deserving. That's your true ticket punch, and they deserved it.
And you saw the fifth and first SIU Edwardsville dancing for the first time as a D1 program, winning the Ohio Valley Conference tournament on Saturday night. The fuse is about to be lit around the NFL next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Possible that while every other state is trying to copy New York and get that 51% tax on sports betting, is it possible that New York will actually lower their taxes? That's surprising.
The question is, of course, well, what sports books could go there? I mean, we're already at 9 that are the biggest ones out there in the market. So, I mean, who are you really missing?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
So much NFL news this weekend, as we predicted, because starting today at noon Eastern time, the legal tampering window around the National Football League, the unofficial official start of free agency, if you will, where clubs and representation for players can agree to the terms of a deal it's not officially signed on the dotted line until 4 p.m. Eastern time this upcoming Wednesday. That is the official start of the league year. But Donnie, we knew it on Friday's show with already a flurry of news late last week. We said there would be contract extensions. There might be some trades. There might be some guys who have already been released signing with new homes. That is what we are going to see this weekend before the league year really gets underway. So let's lay out the timeline step by step over this weekend with the biggest deals that we saw. It started on Friday night. The Las Vegas Raiders making the first move, trading for Geno Smith. Seattle shipping out their quarterback to Vegas. In return, the Seahawks get a third-round pick this year. Geno Smith now reunites with Pete Carroll. They spent a year or so together up in the Pacific Northwest. Geno Smith, now the new quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders. Donnie Rightside, your reaction.
My reaction is I don't understand what they're doing. And that's not Seattle. You might be thinking I'm talking about Seattle. What are they doing? They have a quarterback here, and they should keep DK Metcalf and keep everybody together and make a playoff run. Understand this. Seattle and John Schneider, their GM, said, you know what? We're not making a playoff run, and it's about winning championships here. That's not going to happen. And oh, by the way, we'd like to bring Geno back, but at our number. Let's just say Geno, low 30s, like a Baker Mayfield type deal. He wanted more money. The minute they heard that, they shipped them out of town. Smart business move for them. Get the restart going now because it's about championships, not about winning 8 to 9 games per season. Now let's shift this over to the Vegas Raiders and what they're thinking. I remember when they signed Pete Carroll, I said, this is perfect. Bring in a guy that's been around winners. He's going to be able to build that foundation like he did at USC and rebuilt that structure there, and then goes to Seattle and did the same exact thing, and they ended up with a Lombardi trophy and probably should have had 2 if they just handed the football off. But I thought Pete Carroll would be the perfect coach that was already on his way out of the NFL where Seattle said, bye-bye, you're too old, it's past your prime, to go down and say, you know what? I think Vegas makes some sense to start this because in 2 to 3 years, when I retire, because I'll be in my mid-70s, I'm going to hand the keys off to somebody who's going to be ready to win and everything cleared out. And then what do we find ourselves doing? Buying an aging quarterback, giving up draft capital, and on top of that, he's going to need to sign a new extension, which means, Raider fans, congratulations on the 6 wins next year. What did that get you? Absolutely nothing. You have to understand this. I love the fact that it came between these two organizations. Seattle goes, 10 wins isn't enough. This quarterback and this team cannot take us over the top. Let's rebuild this thing right now. Seattle fans, you should be standing in applause because that's a healthy franchise. Vegas Raiders fans, if there's any of them out there as they get invaded by visiting fans on a week-to-week basis, why? Because it's not a hot ticket for the home team because they get slaughtered by everybody that comes to town for reasons like this. Geno Smith is not taking you to the playoffs. Therefore, what did you get him for, and why are you signing him to an extension? I can't understand what the Raiders are doing here.
4th most passing yards for Geno Smith a year ago, more than 4,300. But to Donnie's point, if you're going to put up numbers, the results in success need to follow. The Las Vegas Raiders' 6th overall pick this upcoming April in the 2025 NFL Draft. There was a thought, DRS, toward the tail end of last year, the Raiders would be in the top 3 with all the ties between the Sanders family and the Raiders. Dion and Shador both saying, man, we'd love for him to end up in the silver and black, that maybe that would be the move. The Raiders not necessarily in a striking position to draft a QB based on that selection, so they go and get Geno Smith. To Donnie's point, now, I don't think Geno Smith moves the needle. But does he give you a win or 2 more for a team that entered this weekend with the longest price to win Super Bowl 60 at 200 to 1? Yeah, and that's reflected in the odds. But it's not 200 to 1 down to 35 to 1 to make a run around the AFC. It's 200 to 1 down to 110 to 1, where the future still for Las Vegas is the successor, even now to Geno Smith. You only give up a 3rd rounder in return, but to Donnie's point, it will be the financial investment. Currently on his contract, Geno Smith has a 1-year, $31 million remaining outstanding balance, if you will, but does intend to sign a contract because the Seahawks were not really going to give him that guaranteed extension. So now he makes his way to Las Vegas. In somehow, some way, DRS, speaking of shortening Super Bowl prices, as we'll break down with the Seahawks, who dealt DK Metcalf as well. Seattle's price was 60 to 1 to win a Super Bowl in 2025. Now it's 50 to 1. the market overwhelmed by the good moves that John Schneider has made this offseason, perhaps.
Understand, and again, Ben, 10-7 last year for the Seattle Seahawks, but ownership and general manager understood this isn't a team that can win long-term with Geno Smith and this group of wide receivers. And it was a very good group of wide receivers. Look at the Raiders, 4-13. You should be smack dab right in the middle of that rebuild, which means finding your future quarterback on a rookie contract and add as much young talent around him. So by the time 2, 3 years, 4 years down the road, when he's a starter, you're ready to compete for championships. I can't understand this move. If this move was designed to go from 4 wins to 6 wins, and John Spytek's like, see what I did for you over here? I won you 2 more games. Wow, that's a good general manager. No, that's a horrible general manager. And Michael Jordan, one of the best players in the history of professional sports on the basketball court, equally as bad off of it, owning teams and being a general manager. Is Tom Brady going down that same exact path where he just doesn't understand roster construction and what it takes to build the winner as opposed to being playing on the field and winning championships? It looks exactly what the case is right now. Raider fans, if you are out there, I apologize for your ownership group. They did you dirty.
But that's the difficult thing, DRS, right? You bring in Pete Carroll, as you have said, provides that veteran guidance, a stable foundation for an organization that has had 2 winning records in the last 22 years. And in each of those 2 winning record seasons have reached the playoffs. Outside of that, not a postseason berth. When you are a new regime, when you are Pete Carroll, when you're the minority ownership stake of Tom Brady, you are not coming in there to just provide a stable base. You want to win football games. That is the competition level for this new regime, which makes it difficult. I do agree it's an interesting move. It doesn't necessarily make a more optimistic outlook in the Sin City for Vegas moving forward. The other big deal the Seahawks made this weekend, DK Metcalf is now a Steeler. Next.
Philadelphia 76ers, they tried to play 2 different things. They tried to play contender, and they tried to play protect Joel Embiid. It wasn't doing Joel Embiid any good. This goes back to what I've talked about numerous times on this network. Why did they let him play in the first place? Why was he on the Olympic team? I mean, we looked at it last year in the playoffs against the Knicks. The damn kid was on one leg.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It is a new era in the Seattle Seahawks organization. Geno Smith traded to the Las Vegas Raiders. DK Metcalf traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers late on a Sunday night. Metcalf now makes his way to the Steel City. In return, a second-round pick heads back to the Northwest. The teams also swap a 6th and 7th rounder this upcoming draft as well. But DK Metcalf, now a Pittsburgh Steeler. On the opposite side of the field from George Pickens, you have two elite deep threats in the NFL, and yet no quarterback in-house currently to throw them the football. But the blockbuster deal, DK Metcalf now makes his way to the Steel City. And of course, DRS, he made his way to the Steel City with 1 year remaining in his current contract, so an extension had to be signed. A 5-year, $150 million deal with Pittsburgh. DK Metcalf becoming the 7th wide receiver around the NFL to reach that $30 million annual benchmark.
This is an interesting one because, number one, you understand this. DK Metcalf wanted to make as much money as he can. A lot of teams out there, Ben, would have offered him a lot of money to play for them. And sometimes you want to focus on getting the exact right spot. And usually the way wide receivers work is, all right, number one, I want my money. Number two, I want my catches. Number three, who's my quarterback going to be to get number two, which is my catches? So, hey, let me go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team notorious for not letting your quarterback spin out there and running the football at all costs and playing in lower scoring games in a black and blue division, which DK Metcalf goes, perfect scenario. Love it. I got another superstar on the other side, or budding superstar, hopefully in Pickens, if he can keep his head on straight. But also, I don't even have a quarterback right now. And the funny part about this is, yes, you want to secure that long-term money because that's what's most important. But you also want an accurate thrower. It's why you take a look at Cincinnati, and sometimes you can deal with T. Higgins, which we will in just a little bit, going, you know, it's so much fun. No matter what route I run, I turn around and the ball is right on my chest for an easy completion and catch. As a wide receiver, there is nothing more demoralizing than cooking your defender play by play and not getting the football because he can't get it to you or just doesn't read the defense and know that you're wide open. But DK to Pittsburgh makes a lot of sense if they can get a thrower of the football. Otherwise, why would you spend that much money at the wide receiver position and say, Arthur Smith, I don't want you to throw the football more than 22 times per game because that's Steeler football. I like the decision to add talent in DK Metcalf. I just don't know about the execution of this decision and who that quarterback is actually going to be, Ben.
Seattle gets a second rounder back in return. They will have some more draft assets to utilize this year to start to rebuild that franchise as well. The story for the Steelers has been consistent success. 18 years under Mike Tomlin, never fewer than 8 victories, of course, never a losing season. But the idea of being a 10-win football team, getting absolutely blown out during Super Wild Card Weekend in the opening round of the playoffs is starting to become a little bit old for a stable franchise in the Steelers, but a franchise that also was once known for winning Lombardi trophies and seems very, very far from doing so. The last time the Steelers played in a Super Bowl, 2012. The last time the Steelers even reached the AFC Championship game, 2016. And new information this morning from ESPN's Adam Schefter. The Steelers continue talking to Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, but Aaron Rodgers has emerged as a QB option in Pittsburgh per league sources. As I said at the open, I would rather have the promising Justin Fields, despite the idea that, of course, Aaron Rodgers is a much better thrower of the football in that offense with DK Metcalf and George Pickens than the 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers at this stage of his career. But it does seem as though the Steelers are looking at the same thing Donnie has said. If we have DK Metcalf and George Pickens, we need to make sure we can throw the football with consistency instead of designing, in my opinion, an offensive scheme that could be creative. So there is a chance that Aaron Rodgers, after 20 years in the NFL, spends maybe his final one or the final few in Pittsburgh.
And there's a couple layers to this story, right? You look at saying, okay, Justin Fields, why would you even want to come back to Pittsburgh? You were told last year, the minute you got acquired, hey, kid, good luck. You will never see this field unless our quarterback breaks his leg, and then I'll bring in another quarterback, and if his leg breaks, maybe you'll get into the football game. So to come back here and be a starter is interesting from his level. But number two on this, if you are getting the wide receivers to have an aerial assault downfield, you need a competitive passer. That's not Justin Fields. I actually would like Justin Fields more on the Steelers if they didn't get DK Metcalf and just said, you know what? We're actually going to trade Pickens away. We're going to run the football and play really good defense. They'd probably win 9 to 10 football games, have a winning record like Mike Tomlin does. It's an interesting maneuver. I need to see who's pulling the strings at the quarterback position, and that's a great debate until we find out who that is.
We'll continue the NFL offseason news next.
Play a little game of true or false, fantasy or reality is what we used to call it. But instead, we're going to play a little game of buy or sell. Rafael Devers had a press conference and basically said, I ain't moving off third base. I'm a third baseman. I won't play DH. I won't play anywhere else. Alex Bregman was just signed, so how's this going to work out? Buy or sell, George? Devers will start more games at third than Bregman this season. Is that a buy or sell?
Yeah, Devers is a horrific third baseman. All right, he's bad. I think he ranks dead last in the league here. I think Cora is going to talk to Devers. Apparently, they are close. He said, listen, you got to move, buddy. I'm sorry. You got to move. We're a better team with Bregman at third.
I think he's dug in here, man. I don't know. I know that there was a report a few days ago that they were talking about it and, sort of working things out. But I think in the end, cooler heads will prevail. But I don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to say that Devers starts like 90 games at third base this season. And I think that'll probably be the compromise here. I think that Bregman will start some. Devers will start some. Bregman's still a Gold Glove third baseman at this stage of his career. It doesn't really add up. The other thing that happened is over the course of Big Papi's career, he moved off first base. He went to DH. And Big Papi was Devers, right? I mean, pretty similar in stature there. But Devers just seems to be really dug in on this. I think if it was going to happen, George, we would know by now. And it hasn't. We just heard that it may. So I am going to buy. I don't think Devers plays 150 at third base or even 140 or anything like that. But I do think he plays more than Bregman at third. I think that they have a compromise when they play both.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
So, an NFL weekend where we saw a bunch of moves and maneuvers. We just talked about the two trades Seattle made, sending Geno Smith to the Las Vegas Raiders and DK Metcalf to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Always an interesting move for Metcalf to go to a place where they don't have a quarterback at this moment. Cannot say that about Buffalo, New York, of course, as Josh Allen, the reigning MVP, gets rewarded with a big contract extension. 6-year, $330 million deal. That is $55 million per year AAV, annual average value, making him tied for the second highest paid QB in the NFL alongside Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love, all four of those guys behind Dak Prescott. But the real story in the contract and the finances is $250 million fully guaranteed to Allen, the most guaranteed money ever in an NFL contract in league history.
If there's a guy that deserves it, you probably would say Josh Allen. But again, being physically responsible, sometimes you bring up some of the question marks because the AAV is what we like to look at, which typically on a contract is, the going rate for a quarterback now is in the mid-50s. And if that's what it's going to be for Josh Allen, that's great. But all contracts aren't built the same. And you're graded in the NFL with how much guaranteed money you're getting. And $250 million now surpasses Deshaun Watson. That's an incredible amount of money. And I just said he probably deserves it. But you never know the future in football. A couple of concussions, a couple of injuries here. The one thing with the NFL is say, okay, the quarterback just didn't work out in 2 years. He's going to retire. let's just say he still had $205 million guaranteed on that contract. That hits the salary cap. You can't get out from under that. That's what the issue sometimes is. If we would have a contract, let's just say, Ben, $55 million on the average value per year of that, and maybe only $125 million guaranteed, then you say, wow, that's an absolute steal for the Buffalo Bills. But if Josh Allen plays well, he's going to eventually see all of that money. It's a lot of money to give when you, especially a few years ago, just gave him a new contract. I'm not hating on the deal, because understand this. If you have a superstar player that you've identified that's going to be your franchise guy for at least the next 5 years, pay him now, because in 2 to 3 years, you will look at that as a steal. So remember the deal that they had in Kansas City for Patrick Mahomes? What, $500 million? Are they out of their mind? What an absolute steal that turned out to be. Identify the players that are good, that will lead your franchise, and pay them now. That's what the Buffalo Bills did. That's why I'm not hating on this deal. Great football player. In 2 years, this contract probably going to be a steal.
So, DRS, you mentioned that big deal for Patrick Mahomes, who we all would say currently in the NFL is the best quarterback around the league. Josh Allen, our reigning MVP winner. Neither Mahomes nor Allen were paid with one of the top 10 biggest salaries last year in 2024, which is crazy to say because of when they signed their second deal after their rookie contracts in their NFL career. So Josh Allen now rewarded, but to Donnie's point, in 2 to 3 years again, Josh Allen still performing at this level, as we all anticipate. It seems like a steal. A lot of guaranteed money. And we use the AAV to conceptualize and compare for Josh Allen. I'm sure he's happy with $55 million per year on annual average value. He is happier with $250 million already in the bank account. All right, elsewhere around the NFL, a trade request early during Super Bowl week. Myles Garrett, the 2023 Defensive Player of the Year, one of the most feared defenders in all of the NFL, requested a trade out of Cleveland. I can't win here. This Browns team is in, once again, another rebuild. I want to contend for Super Bowls to finish out my career. And the Browns said, we're not so sure. And Myles Garrett said, if you don't trade me, I'm not paying or playing. I don't care how much money I miss. The Browns then said, how about $40 million per year? Myles Garrett said, what? All right, I'm back in Cleveland, man. Let's have a reunion. A $40 million per year extension, 4-year, $160 million deal, $123.5 million, fully guaranteed. The highest paid non-quarterback ever in the history of the National Football League was once Justin Jefferson. Just a week ago, it was Max Crosby. And now it is Myles Garrett, sacrificing a chance to contend for a Super Bowl for $40 million per year.
Hey, one of the worst owners in professional sports, Jimmy Haslam and the Cleveland Browns, just bungle every single decision that they could possibly make. But let's get into it, because there's a couple layers to this. And the interesting part was, like, Myles Garrett saying, look, I made a lot of money already. I played for Cleveland. We are a horrible franchise with no quarterback and no direction. It's not about money. I just went out. I said, well, that's pretty admirable. Let's see where he can go. And then we see that the owner goes, you know what? My star player wants to meet with me. Maybe we can mend some fences here. I'm not going to meet with you at all. It harkens back to the Indianapolis Colts. You remember Jim Irsay was like, Jonathan Taylor wants a new contract. I don't care if he sits the rest of his career. I'm never paying that guy. And like 24 hours later, it's like, man, this guy's the best running back I've ever seen in my life. Here's a high-paying deal. Like, this doesn't make any sense on the direction of a franchise based on what you just said. Now, understand this. This isn't me coming after Myles Garrett. He's probably the best pass rusher in the NFL. Let's just say here's what happened instead. Myles Garrett said, I will not play for the Cleveland Browns. Two first-round draft picks are traded, and he goes to the Buffalo Bills and gets that same exact extension from the Bills. Standing ovation from me sitting here going like, unbelievable move for the Browns, unbelievably good move for the Buffalo Bills. Because why? The Bills think they can win a championship, and he's the missing piece. Now, understand this. The Cleveland Browns, you are going absolutely nowhere until Deshaun Watson's contract is completely clear. And in the NFL, once you start to hit 30 years old, you are no longer in your prime as an NFL player outside of the quarterback position. That's just a fact. Can he be a serviceable player in 2 to 3 years? Absolutely. Might he be the best player in football once again next year? Cleveland, you're not making the playoffs next year. And here's where you contrast that with the Seattle Seahawks. They won 10 games last year, and their ownership group said, you know what? I don't think we can win a championship with this team. Isn't that what it's about? Like, signing Myles Garrett to quarterback money to win you 5 games a season? Like, what is the point of that? You are best off just saying, until Watson's contract is completely clear, let's tear this thing down. Let's get multiple first rounders. And maybe the next 2 to 3 years, we'll get Arch Manning as our quarterback. We'll rebuild this thing and we'll be a proud franchise for our Cleveland fans. I'm sure Cleveland fans that have Myles Garrett jerseys and love Myles Garrett, and there's a lot of them out there that do. But understand this. You didn't help your football team by signing the best overall defensive end. Why? Because you're not winning anything. Isn't that the point of professional sports? You're either building to win something or you're going backwards to make sure in a few years you can then build to win something here. One of the worst contract signings I've ever seen for a single sports franchise is Myles Garrett. And it's not Myles Garrett's fault.
And Donnie, they've been giving out some very peculiar contracts as of late. There is no doubt about Myles Garrett's talent. He was the first overall pick by the Browns back in 2017. His career resume is astounding. In 8 years in the NFL, all with the Browns, he has been a 6-time All-Pro, a 6-time Pro Bowler. 4 of the last 5 years, he has been an AP All-Pro first-team performer and the Defensive Player of the Year now just 2 seasons ago. But Myles Garrett is not going to be the piece to win you a championship. Myles Garrett was fully healthy in 2024, and Cleveland won 3 games because of the disaster the quarterback position was and remains a disaster right now under Kevin Stefanski. You would certainly think, DRS, the Browns holding the 2nd overall selection are saying to themselves right here, right now, we got to make a splash. We got to move up to get Cam Ward. We have to make sure we can be in play. Because if they don't believe Shedeur Sanders is QB number 2, that is worthy of that 2nd overall selection, they have to go get a quarterback to try to capitalize on this window. Otherwise, they're just paying people to play, not paying people to win.
Exactly. And you hit the nail on the head. Let's just say you traded him 2 first-round picks. And let's just say you didn't get Cam Ward and it was Shedeur Sanders. But you said, you know what? This guy's going to be our future. And then the next 2 years, you added weapons for Shedeur Sanders, rebuilt that football team. And in 2 to 3 years, you are now true contenders in the AFC. That's the game plan that fans can buy into. They can't buy into spending money and saying, boy, by the time we get good, oh my goodness, Myles is making $50 million a year. This is ridiculous. Why did we do that? Just reset the program, get your future quarterback, and away you go. And fans will always buy into that.
Plenty of other moves from the NFL weekend. We've got a lot of signings and a lot of maneuvers to recap for you. We do it next here on the Early Line.
Play a little game of true or false, fantasy or reality is what we used to call it. But instead, we're going to play a little game of buy or sell. Rafael Devers had a press conference and basically said, I ain't moving off third base. I'm a third baseman. I won't play DH. I won't play anywhere else. Alex Bregman was just signed, so how's this going to work out? Buy or sell, George? Devers will start more games at third than Bregman this season. Is that a buy or sell?
Yeah, Devers is a horrific third baseman. All right, he's bad. I think he ranks dead last in the league here. I think Cora is going to talk to Devers. Apparently, they are close. He said, listen, you got to move, buddy. I'm sorry. You got to move. We're a better team with Bregman at third.
I think he's dug in here, man. I don't know. I know that there was a report a few days ago that they were talking about it and, sort of working things out. But I think in the end, cooler heads will prevail. But I don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to say that Devers starts like 90 games at third base this season. And I think that'll probably be the compromise here. I think that Bregman will start some, Devers will start some. Bregman's still a Gold Glove third baseman at this stage of his career. It doesn't really add up. The other thing that happened is over the course of Big Papi's career, he moved off first base, he went to DH, and Big Papi was Devers, right? I mean, pretty similar in stature there. But Devers just seems to be really dug in on this. I think if it was going to happen, George, we would know by now. And it hasn't. We just heard that it may. So I am going to buy. I don't think Devers plays 150 at third base or even 140 or anything like that. But I do think he plays more than Bregman at third. I think that they have a compromise when they play both.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
So much news this weekend around the National Football League. A reminder, the legal tampering window, that negotiating period before the official start of the league year, begins today, noon Eastern time. Plenty more deals will be had. You will see so many reports, so many agreed to the terms of a contract. The league year officially begins 4 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday. That's when the dotted line can officially be signed around the NFL. That will be the case for the Los Angeles Rams. Actually, the deal already done because Davante Adams was released by the New York Jets. Davante Adams in a new spot with Matthew Stafford in Los Angeles. A 2-year, $46 million deal. Donnie, we talked about Davante being released by the New York Jets. Frankly, he was only there on a loan to play with his buddy and former quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. And despite the fact, of course, it did not work out for the Jets in large part this past season, Davante Adams still performing at a very high level. Davante Adams, 5 consecutive years, despite the drama he has really played a large part in, of 1,000 receiving yards at bare minimum. Davante Adams still producing. I think he was the top wide receiver on the free agent market, and now adds a huge piece to a Rams team that, after a peculiar start to the offseason, has Matthew Stafford re-signed, has Davante Adams now in-house, a Rams team ready to win once again.
And I love the way you phrase that as like a big piece to that offense. He doesn't have to come in and be the savior. Like, oh, we've been dying for a number one wide receiver for 8 years. We finally got one, even though he is an aging veteran on the back end of his prime. Puka Nacua is still going to be the number one, which means, oh, you want to double cover Nacua? Adam's going to slay you on the backside. You want to roll coverage one side, the other guy's going to get after you here. It'll be interesting to see how they put those two in motion. But again, you have one of the best play callers in NFL history in Sean McVay pulling the strings. I absolutely love that. And understand this about the Rams, too. Adding that free agent and saying, you know what, I think this guy puts us over the top. Dare I say, if Jalen Carter doesn't rumble in for a key third down sack for the Philadelphia Eagles in the snow in the divisional round, Rams win that football game. Rams would beat Washington at home in the next round. And how did you beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl? Have a devastating pass rush. I think the Rams had like 8 sacks from the Philadelphia Eagles and lost that football game. They might have been world champions. So now you say, let's keep the band in town. Let's keep Stafford happy. And you know what else you make him happy? You're going to pay him more money. Get him another weapon on the outside here. I love what the Rams did. And again, this is an organization that says we're in our window. Kept our quarterback. Let's add on. Let's see if we can go out and win another world championship, which they did just a few years ago. I don't think anybody out there saw Davante Adams going to the Rams like, why did they do that for? Great decision, great signing, and I'm looking forward to taking a look to see what the Rams do in 2025.
Which is always, Donnie, what made that speculation and seemingly a rumor mill that then had some legs to it around Matthew Stafford's status in L.A. all that much more peculiar. The Rams had everything in place to be a legitimate and bona fide Super Bowl contender once again in 2025 in the tail end of Stafford's career. Whatever that drama was, it is now done. And maybe you think of Davante Adams kind of as that drama-filled wideout as well. End of 2021, even with Aaron Rodgers still at Lambeau, he's like, you know what? I'd rather go play with my college quarterback and buddy Derek Carr in Las Vegas. Forces his way to Vegas. Still has a great year with Derek Carr. Even after Carr leaves in 2023, still over 1,000 receiving yards. And Donnie only played in 14 total games this year, 11 with the New York Jets, still over 1,000 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns. And it's not like he goes somewhere where the quarterback situation is not solved. Matthew Stafford, still one of the great slingers of the football in 2025. All right, let's talk about some other big signings this weekend. Ronnie Stanley was about to test the open market for free agency, but goes back to the Ravens on a 3-year, $60 million deal. Some injuries kind of plaguing Ronnie Stanley's time, but fully healthy this year, DRS, a Pro Bowl at the left tackle spot. Huge for Lamar Jackson and the flock to keep Stanley in the Charm City.
Yeah, you didn't want him going out there on the open market and say, test the waters and come back to us, because that number would have got inflated here. It was surprising it took this long because good left tackles are very hard to come by, particularly on the free agent market. Good signing for them. Keep that identity there. Powerful ground game, physical offensive line. If Ronnie Stanley stays healthy, one of the better left tackles, no issues with that signing. It had to happen for the Ravens.
And smart to get it done over the weekend before the start of the legal tampering window, although I'm sure maybe some calls were made already. A couple of linebackers signing for nearly $15 million a year. The Chiefs re-sign their middle linebacker in Nick Bolton, keeping him in-house. Harold Landry III, after many years in Tennessee, reunites with his former head coach in Mike Vrabel. Landry was released earlier in the week, signs a 3-year, $43.5 million deal. The Patriots have a lot of money to spend. They're doing so in Foxborough.
Exactly, and you're spending on pass rush here can never fault them. They just need talent in New England, and that adds talent and a familiar face. But also take a look at Nick Bolton, one of the more versatile linebackers in professional football. Guy looks like he's roaming around as a safety, makes a lot of big plays. That was a deserving contract as well.
Trey Smith, placed under the franchise tag by KC, has signed the tender, but still has until the middle of July 15th, to be exact, to agree on a long-term extension with KC. There is still optimism that deal gets done. Aaron Jones, after a sensational year, his first out of Green Bay, but still in the NFC North with Minnesota, re-signs with the Vikings on a 2-year, $20 million deal. Know that price, about $10 million annually. Donnie, last year the going rate for running backs was about $8 million per year annually. So the running back position, valuable once more.
Yep, good move here. You need a solid. Look, if you're going to have the rookie quarterback / second-year guy in J.J. McCarthy, protect him with a good running game, and Jones can certainly do that. There is some upside in Minnesota. We'll see where they go with the quarterback position, but all signs right now trending towards J.J. McCarthy taking over the helm in September, which is the right thing to do for the franchise.
And hopefully keeping Daniel Jones as his reserve and veteran experience. Sam Darnold remains that big name. Around noon Eastern today, where does he go at the quarterback spot after trading Geno Smith? A lot of speculation. Seattle could be the front runner. A couple of moves out of Buffalo, releasing Von Miller, the veteran, as was expected based on his salary, extending Gregory Rousseau, a talented young edge rusher. So the Bills paying Josh Allen, Rousseau, Terrell Bernard, as we said, and Khalil Shakir. Derek Carr restructuring his deal slightly. He remains the starting quarterback in New Orleans for the Kellen Moore era. Plenty more comes your way next on TEL.
Which is a great place to be. Are you in the locker room, like you giving like the Any Given Sunday inches Al Pacino speech? Are we there yet?
Oh yeah, I think we've been there. We're gonna have a long talk with Rob today about the 99-199 issue from last week. Like I just don't get how he is still employed. We gotta talk to ownership about that one.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Possible that while every other state is trying to copy New York and get that 51% tax on sports betting, is it possible that New York will actually lower their taxes? That's surprising.
The question is, of course, what sports books could go there. I mean, we're already at 9 that are the biggest ones out there in the market. So, I mean, who are you really missing?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Remember when everyone was upset about NIL? You know what NIL did? Make sure Cooper Flagg wasn't playing with the G League Ignite. That's good for us. That's good for college basketball. When the best players are actually playing college basketball.
You're going to get battle tested. And it doesn't matter, Kevin, if you're at home or on the road. If you don't come ready to play in the SEC, you're going home with an L.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what?
circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Around the association from the weekend that was yesterday in the afternoon, a matinee in Oklahoma City between the Thunder and the Denver Nuggets. Not only a matchup between two of the top teams in the Western Conference, but of course those two frontrunners to win the MVP award. And after the Joker made NBA history on Friday night, the first ever 30-20-20 game, that's at least 30 points, at least 20 boards, at least 20 assists. Nikola Jokic closing some ground in terms of that MVP race, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander still there to remind everybody, DRS, it is his award to lose at this moment. And for OKC, it is their Western Conference to squander as well. 24-point home win, 127-103 yesterday against the Nugs. The Thunder cover as a 7.5-point home favorite. A lofty total of 243.5 does stay under. SGA, yet another 40-point performance, his third consecutive 40-point game to lead Oklahoma City to a big home win.
Yeah, 29-4 now in the season. Home court advantage, that's certainly going to mean something. When we talk usually about home court advantage, it's usually the Denver Nuggets at home in elevation where they have the advantages typically in the second half where you might get a little bit winded. Did you see that fourth quarter? 41-20 final in the fourth quarter where the OKC, obviously winning that game easily by 20-plus points, but you win that by 21 in the fourth quarter. Just crushed them. Usually you see that with Denver on their home court, not the opposite direction. But OKC, we haven't argued this much on the entire season. It's clear cut, like in the East, like, ooh, is it Cleveland? Is it Boston? We've always said it was OKC, and they're just spreading their wings right now, saying, you know what? If there was anybody looking to file a game away, like once we get to the playoffs, we'll remember this one. That was OKC saying, hey, Denver, we're in charge here in the Western Conference. Deal with it.
And now the longest active win streak out west. They have won 7 consecutive. They have covered in 5 of their last 6 wins. They are 53-11. They have a 12-game lead over both Denver and Los Angeles, that being the Lakers, for the number 1 spot out west. Again, with just about 20 games left around this NBA campaign, OKC is going to be that 1 seed in the Western Conference. Nikola Jokic just 1 assist shy of a second consecutive triple-double against Oklahoma City yesterday, but does fall short of that. Minus 150 to record a triple-double pregame, third consecutive 40-point performance for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who also has 7 50-point games this year. Because of the history Jokic made on Friday night, minus 300 for Gilgeous-Alexander, plus 230 for Jokic entering yesterday's matchup. In terms of the individual MVP race, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, once again, a minus 600 favorite to win that award.
Yeah, and it looks like he's closing in on that outside, barring an injury at this point. He's going to get that, and games like that solidify. Yes, Nikola Jokic actually had a very good game, but we also take a look at what I always call, Ben, the extracurriculars. You have the best team in conference, which the Thunder are, and you're hammering the Nuggets when both of these two are playing. One guy drops 40, one guy drops 24. That gets you the extra advantage there. It's going to be SGA's award to win, and quite frankly, he's been on that doorstep for a couple years now. Now it looks like he's finally going to break through and get that hardware.
Yeah, it does feel fitting, right, for the NBA's Western Conference best team, maybe the best team overall in the NBA, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is following suit. So 7 consecutive wins for OKC right now. 12-game advantage for that top spot in the Western Conference. But the longest active win streak, once again, the Cleveland Cavaliers holding on to win 13 consecutive earlier in the weekend, make it 14 in a row for Cleveland in a 12-point win last night in Milwaukee, 112-100. The Cavaliers cover as a 7.5-point favorite. They had not covered in 3 of their last 4 entering last night, but a big cover and a big win against the Bucks. Again, 14 straight dubs for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Again, sometimes it's really simple. Play good defense, have a talented bench, and guys with the ability to knock down shots all over the place. That's a recipe for success and a recipe for a 54-10 team, which is 25-6. not at home, Ben, on the road, which is incredible.
Yeah.
If you shoot 47 triples and knock down 19 of them when your opponent only knocks down 9 triples, you're going to win those basketball games. And that's exactly what the Cleveland Cavaliers did. Only maybe a surprise that they didn't score 120-plus points, but still winning by double digits on the road.
8-game advantage over Boston for the 1 seed out east, and the odds shortening ever so slightly, plus 220 for the Cavs entering the weekend to win the Eastern Conference title, now plus 210. We'll have some more NBA news on the other side just to round out the weekend that we saw, update where the standings are, but then we get you ready for this beautiful month of March, now fully in the postseason at every single level around college hoops. We do that when hour 2 comes your way up next.